Alright folks, here's a quick look through the primary arms 2.5 to 10 by 44 front focal plane scope with the Griffin Mil reticle. The target we're looking at right now is a little bit too close for the scope to comfortably focus on. It's about 15 yards, and the closest focus on the scope is in I think a 20-yard range. But it is a cold and unpleasant day and I don't want to go outside. It's wet and raining, windy, all sorts of unpleasantness. But it is Albuquerque all at the same time. You can also have the sun, so go figure. The scope right now is on 2.5 power. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to show you the reticle, zoom around a touch, and then talk a little bit about what you see. Okay. This is 4, 5, 6, 8, and 10. This is the highest magnification. Naturally, on the highest magnification, the target this close is not going to be sharp. So let's look at something else that we can potentially find, like the chimney on my neighbor's roof. That actually is close enough for me to focus on. Okay, there, very good. Alright, going back through the field of view. 8, 6, 5, 4, and 2.5. The reticle is illuminated. The way the illumination works, this happens to be the way I like it. The illumination to work. This is the brightest, and you can't see it on a bright day. If you can't smooth it, I'm gonna close the front cap so you can see. So only the chevron in the center is illuminated, and it is illuminated fairly dimly. I experimented a little bit with the scope in low light, and in low light the illumination works perfectly nicely, which is basically what I want out of this. Okay. The reticle itself is interesting, at least to me. It is interesting, as is the case on many ACSS series primary arms reticle. The primary aiming point is a small chevron, which sort of combines the speed of having a good size aiming point with a very sharp point to aim with. Ultimately, for shooting tiniest possible groups, this is not the best way of doing this. It's less natural for us than a dot or a crosshair. However, it is accurate enough. And this is not a long-range precision scope, although it can be pressed into that service quite comfortably on, for things outside of bench rest. Given that the magnification is 2.5 to 10 power, we're really looking at the DMR type scope. In that role, it works quite nicely. I think this scope is at its best on accurate gas guns, the AR-15s, and similar. The way the ACSS reticle works is fairly clever. There is a large horseshoe that's broken up on two sides by a rangefinder, where the horizontal marks roughly match the 18-inch width of a plate or an animal chest or something like that. And vertically, you can, it's basically a choke style rangefinder for something that's 5 foot 10 inches tall. And I'll let you figure out what that something can potentially be. The way the grid works, I zoomed out to about 8 power so you can see the grid a little bit better. The dots are spaced and 1 milliradian apart. They are nicely labeled, and the grid goes down to 15 milliradian. And looking at this, it is not a difficult reticle to do comparatively quick aiming with. The way the width of the tree goes, I am not 100% clear if I would get lost on the bottom of the tree or not, but on the other hand, this is not a part of the reticle I'd use all that much, and in actual use it seems alright. I haven't had this scope for too long, so I need to play a little bit more with it, but you can see that there are numbers dispersed through the tree. So you know how many milliradians of holdover you are working with. It's every second number, so it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. And overall, the reticle is simple enough. The question is, does this grid distract from your view too much? And I am not so sure. Another question I've seen raised, whether this should have there should have been half mil dots or hashes in there. It's really a personal preference. To me, the way this reticle is, adding any more stuff to it would probably make it a little bit too busy. Okay. As is, I think it gives you enough granularity, enough ability to hold for any accurate semi-auto 56, 6.5 Grandel, stuff like that. This is really the kind of stuff this is designed for distances out to 800 to 1,000 yards on effectively human-sized targets. For most of us, it's basically shooting plates. And in that role, it does very, very well. Always keep in mind that the way human vision works, we're very good in splitting the difference between two marks that we see. So if you have a 1 milliradian grid, it's very natural for us to find a center point between that, right? If the scope went to a high magnification, I could see a good argument for adding additional holes. But as is, I think they did the right thing by not doing too much. Right, once you get to about 12 or 14 top power, then then you start thinking about it. But at 2.5 to 10, I think size-wise the reticle is good. The large horseshoe, I'm gonna dial back down to lower power. Even when the illumination is off, provides a pretty nicely visible point on low magnification. You can see where the reticle is. It stands out pretty well. I'm gonna move it around a little bit so you can see it in front of some vegetation and stuff like that. Open spaces. With front focal plane designs, one of the problems you tend to have is that the reticle on low power is too small to comfortably see. And the horseshoe is one of the ways to work around that, because it's the way it is done, it's kind of out of the way in high magnification, but it provides a fairly distinct circular aiming point at low magnification. Okay. That having been said, I haven't spent too much time with the scope. I don't have too many specific conclusions. Yet, I like the packaging. The turrets are done quite nicely. I like the fact that they lock at 0. Adding side focus to a scope of this magnification range was the right move. It can be used at a variety of distances, and you can really do some very good precision shooting with the scope on 10 power. 10 power is enough for a lot of different things, and optically this scope is quite nice. It is made in the Philippines. It's part of the Primary Arms GLX line. It's very full-featured. I haven't set the 0 stop yet, but they provide nice instructions. I don't anticipate problems. There is minimal hysteresis in the parallax. I've looked at that, and the reticle to me looks like it would be very workable. My one real concern, and not so much a concern, potential problem, if you look at the reticle, now we're on 10 power, the way it is designed, there is a primary aiming chevron, and then there are 2 wind dots on the sides, and they're calibrated for 90-degree wind at 8.6 miles per hour, but they are pretty far away. They'd be more than 4 milliradian away, and I probably would have liked to have some sort of intermediary aiming point between the primary chevron and these wind dots. But on the other hand, it can make the whole side picture busier. I need to spend more time with it and do a little bit more shooting with it before I can form some sort of a reasonable conclusion. All right, thank you for watching, and stay tuned. As I spend more time with this scope, I will add additional commentary as appropriate.